opportunity to attend college, which is far away from home, my country turned very, very bad when the communists took over our country in 1975. And they turned our country upside down and turned our life inside out. And I struggled through that regime for 4 long years. I tried to survive, almost didn't make it, but thank God he was so faithful and he saved my life. And I cannot say enough about how grateful I am. So I was able to escape from the captivity and finally escape out of the country. And I arrived here in United States 40 years ago. I, I'm I'm so happy that I found a place that I can call home and never worry about the war. That's what I want to share today, and I wrote my story in the book. This is my book, How I Survived the Killing Fields, and it's available on my website, sarahim.com.
Thank you, Sarah. It is beautiful that we have another refugee person who's joining us as a guest today. And just so that if you have not been to our page or our program, my name is Lea Tran. I'm also in the same era that Sarah, escaping from Cambodia. I was busy running away from communists as well on a boat with my parents and 500 other people. Almost drowned in the sea, got pirate raided 4 times, and made it to Indonesia, and 8 months later settling in America. It's a journey that I didn't want to talk about, but usually people say that PTSD is not good when you keep hiding inside. So I let it out in open, and last year I also wrote my story, my memoir, and I also gave a TEDx talk to tell the world about the journey that my family has been through. So if you want to know more about me, you can go on to my website, leatran.com, and learn more about who I am. And if you would like to connect with me, or if you have a story that you want to share, we're happy to have you here. I am now a speaker, a coach, and also an author, which is none of those were on my agenda when I graduated college. But talking about survival, talking about perseverance, I don't think anyone have actually know more about that story than the guest that we are having today. Sam has been through a journey that is incredible. He has been in the military in South Vietnam, been through the battles, the war, had escaped multiple times. He was so close to getting caught many times, and he wrote his book, which I have an honor to read it, and it was so captivating that I was almost like, my heart's almost jumping out several times, because the courage that he had to lead his countrymen and his family out of the bondage and make it here to America. But not only make it here to America, he actually is really thriving here in America. So today I call him Uncle Ling, because to our tradition, anybody who's older than us, especially like almost a generation, we call them uncle or brother, or anything with respect. So Julian is how I call him, and how I should be calling him. And he's here to share with us his journey, his story, his bravery, and the courage and the perseverance that he has been through. So welcome to be on our conversation, Julian. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you for having me. You can call me Uncle Sam, okay?
Uncle Sam, okay. You're gonna give me the stimulus money, right?
There you go.
Another Uncle Sam.
Yeah, Uncle Sam is good. I like it, but just don't take my tax. Give me the stimulus money.
There you go. Well, thank you for having me. Good. Great program. I was able, like I said earlier, I was able to watch one of the episodes. Very good. You guys are awesome.
Oh,
This is kind of stories that the world needs to hear and get inspired. So we all hear about killings and all of the negative things that happen in the world, but you have the program that brings the best, the hope, the inspiring to come out from the human being. So thank you very much for having me.
and I want to say that especially now at the time that so many of the hate crimes are sprouting out, and it is tragic to see the things that's happened that it shouldn't be. And I'm so glad that we can be able to bring more people onto the program and talk about humanize. We all have story, and we came from a place that is a lot of people cannot even fathom the journey that we've been through. So tell us a little bit about how you serve in in the old regime in South Vietnam, and a little bit before the communists took over, and how the story that you survive it. It's almost like a destiny that you are so near death at one point.
Oh, it's a miracle. However, I want to go back to the time when I was 19 years old. I was born in 1966, so go figure. Okay, 1946, 1966, I joined the U.S. Special Forces right out of high school as a combat interpreter, served in the U.S. Special Forces. And then there's a story about how I escaped the death, because while I was in the camp, the artillery rounds came into the camp, exploded. I was like a scared rabbit. I dived into a bunker, and I don't know how many minutes or even half an hour,
Yeah.
just buried into that bunker. I was thinking that I'm gonna die. I'm never gonna see
So
my
young.
yeah, 19 years old, 19-year-old kid. Anyway, my commander, Captain Ray Stryler, he looked at me one day after that and he said that we're lucky, Sam, no casualty, but you too young to get killed here. So why don't you get your ass out here? In Toastmaster, we can't use the language, but in reality, is that why don't you get your ass out here today, okay? I said, sir, you need me because I am your personal interpreter. I'm the link between you and your counterparts. You need me. You don't know you need me, but you do. So he got me a helicopter, took me back to the A team, B team, which is the headquarters. And guess this, listen to this. Within 3 weeks' time, my replacement took a single sniper shot and killed him right outside the camp.
Could it be you? Would it
Yes,
be you?
yes, it could have been me. So anyway, the war goes on. I never saw the captain again. And then in 1975, April 30, the war ended. Guess what? Those who served the federal government, served the American forces, were taken into prison and labor camp. That was a tragic time too. So I survived the labor camps. When they released me, I felt that I was in a bigger prison. Imagine this: your government takes your home away and force you to live in a jungle where they call new economy zone. Practically, it's a place where you grow your own food, build your own little hut, and dig your own well. I would say to dig your own grave, because malaria and diseases will get to you, and you die anyway. So uh, from that labor camp, not what's that? What's it called? Camp?
The new economic
Yeah,
zone?
yeah, new economy zone. My wife and my kids Didn't want to stay there. So when they released me, I connected with them, but then I became homeless. I didn't have any place to stay, homeless, jobless. I was unemployed, and I had to move every night from different places. So while I'm doing that, I planned another escape. I planned my first escape, connect with the boat owners, and you know the story. So
I
anyway,
I wanna give people a little bit of elaboration. I know the story, but a lot of people don't know the story. This man is what I call perseverance. He keep going back to that strength, that courageous, that I mean, nothing can knock him down. He been camped in the dark place with a little bit of food, maybe even, and he has to work. I mean, like hard labors and in isolation. And then he get out. What did he do? He go find opportunity so he can run away again. And he was so courageous. When I read this book, I was just like, oh my God, one after the other. Like you don't have any decompression time. There's no debriefing moment because he get out, he got right in, and then he got almost got caught several times, and he faked it. Tell us, how did you fake through all this thing? And were you not worried or scared?
I'm glad you mentioned that because okay, imagine that I put everybody on a three-wheel vehicle, and this is a place that right next to the shore. There's a little hut over there. Early in the morning, I got everybody all in there, and as soon as I get out of the hut, remember my wife, my kids, and all the people in the hut. So I walked out, and I looked far away. There's a group of people coming out from the shore. And then I was so scared, but now remember at that time I was wearing the uniform like a communist. Okay? I was faking a communist.
I was just like, how could he do that? He's wearing their uniform and pretend to speak their language so he couldn't get caught. But if they have a little more communication and sophisticate in the way they communicate, you will be shot. You will definitely being caught. And I was like, my sweat is dropping.
Okay, so I saw that. Now, what should I do? I said, well, I could run away or I would corner them because if they come in this way, if the communists seeing that, they would come over and gather all of us and capture all of us.
Yeah.
Went to them. Now this is old mom, young boy. Yes, about I would say seven, between 7 and 10 people.
Okay, your audio is not good.
Okay,
Can hardly hear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
A little better, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah. You need to put a little closer to the mic.
Okay, here's the mic. Okay, hear me, good, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I run over to them. To them. Now, remember, I'm like a communist. So these people are frightened because they see the communists. And I was so scared that they might be trapped.
But you were calm and cool like a cucumber because...
Right. So I come over them and they began to bow down. Said, Mr. We don't have any more money. I said, no, I don't want your money. But go the other way and catch a bus because the communists going to come and get you. So they bow down. I was thinking that night when they come home, they probably kill a pig to celebrate the freedom because I know in their heart, they probably said, what a good-hearted soldier. You know, so that's one of his incident. Another incident is that this is before the last successful attempt. I went to the village to connect with the boat owner, which is about 35 miles apart, different city. And as soon as I walk into the boat owner's house, whom I never met, but I was told that that's the man. And then because I had a little girl, I was a 10 years old, 12 years old girl who guided me to his house. Upon seeing me, he was shocked. He said, why are you here? Well, I need to give you some money because we're taking off. At that very moment, the two undercover agent came right into me and said, what are you doing here? Now, at that time, I had 2 bars of gold in my pocket. I haven't released it yet. You know, if so, anyway, I had to fake. So here's another faking.
You're
They said,
really
what
good
are you
at
doing?
that.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Well, I now remember I was still wearing my uniform as a communist, as one of them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
even though they were undercover. So I said that I was stationed in Cameron Bay, the salt farm, working over there, and here's my commander's name.
Mm.
I even picked the commander's name that happened to be my father's name.
I was like, I would be shaking like that, and he was just so calm and
Yeah, I was
making
so
up stories.
yeah.
Ah,
Later on, I said, well, this is the work of the Holy Spirit who strengthened me because there is no way I was so calm to get, they bought my story. So they said, well, come with me. So they were taking me to the station. Now, on the way, well, just before I get out his house, his wife was in the kitchen. I said, bury this. So I gave him 2 bars to go and bury it and get out and follow them to the headquarters, the cop, the station. Over there, I was telling the same story. So the Hancho, the young guy, must be an officer, of course, and he said that well, since you don't have any ID with you, you are not allowed to stay in this village. Now you can go.
I, I was holding my breath the whole time reading it. I was like,
So now remember, here's the part that when the girl who was a guy, who was my guy, saw the cop come to confront me, she left the house and went back to Cameron Bay where my wife and everybody was waiting. So she told him that I had been captured.
mm-hmm.
Terrified her. But anyway, on the way out from that police station, Mr. Man, his name, Man, M-A-N, Man, okay?
Mung, yeah.
Okay. I said, let's go to your house. We're going to have lunch and we're going to take off tonight. That's my command. I mean, I was so determined. I just escaped them and I'm coming out from the police station and I was walking home. I said, man, let's go to your house and have lunch. And we are taking off tonight. So that's the plan. But guess what? We took off. He took off. I went back to Cameron Bay. We were out there waiting, but he didn't make it over there because all the money that we gave him, he spent it. He didn't have enough money to buy fuel. So his boat was drifting and drifting, and it drifted to an island where the communists was over there, but he was legalized fisherman, fishing net on the boat. So the fisherman, the communist was kind enough to sell him some fuel. Well, he had to pay them. I don't know, gold money. I'm not sure what it was, but they sold him a 1 5-gallon can, and he was able to take it over to take his boat to Cameron Bay, but it was past time. It was too late. So the liaison came back and said, there was no boat. But later on, he was connected with Mr. Mann and was out there. So the following night, we did it again. It was October 12, 1979 at 2 o'clock. We made it.
You know that you came out almost about the same time that we did. We did in May 79, May 3rd, 1979. I think that you did it a few months later. You did it in July or sometime, right?
No, October 12, 1979.
October. So you were actually, yeah, you were actually like 5 months after us. But I'm so glad that you took the route to Philippines because you didn't get pirated.
Yes.
We got pirated, but even didn't have pirate. But it's just there's more rough journey because that was another heartbreaking thing that he had to swim over to find a boat and be with the other boat while his boat was just like stranded somewhere and didn't get found until, I mean, if you want a thrilling story. Go find this book. It is a great, thrilling story about courageous men like you, Mr. Lei and Uncle Sam. I just think that I think your background as a soldier had really trained you to be so courageous that even death was in front of you, and you were not shaken. You did not bow down. You did not shake it, and your mind was so sharp at every single turn of the dangers. And I just really admire the journey, that not just getting out of Vietnam, but how you function and the way that how calm you see things. You don't act in a panic mode. You always act in a leadership mode, which is like even in the camp. He was well, tell us about the condition in the camp once you get to Philippines,
The Philippines, oh, the refugee camp.
the refugee camp. Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to go back a little bit before I arrived in the Philippines. So the night that we took off, the wind had changed the direction. That means the storm is coming in from between Cameron Bay and the Philippines. That stretch of water is very stormy, and that signal the storm is coming in. So people come to me and said, Mr. Lee, what should we do? We need to cancel because very dangerous. I said, no. At this point, we have to go. Life or death, we have to go. So that is the moment that, and then later on.
Yeah, you could be die 105 people in your boat, right? You could. It
we
could
start,
all.
yeah, we start with 103. Now, at that point, I didn't know how many people. We just got on the boat, and this boat was packed with people, to the point that everybody got on the big boat, which is the 34-foot boat. Everybody said, "Who are you with, Mr. Lee?" Mr. Lee as a code name, okay? Because people come in on taxi boat, 2 taxi boats, and then they bring people in, and everybody get on the big boat. They were asked the question,
Yeah.
"Who are you with, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee?" So to the point that the boat owner thought I was doing something behind their back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, my
that's
boats, when my dad built it, it was all also wanted to accommodate about 350, and we get 100. We get 502 people on board. So people are jammed into, if they know that any boat is about to take off, people will do anything to be nearby so they can squeeze in. And if you don't let them, they might cause you problems. So you just kind of let them. And
Yeah.
you were planning for like 40.
No, I was just between 30 35 with
Right.
a core group of people. But by the time everybody jumped on the boat, we didn't have any chance to count them. They were all
Yeah.
at the bottom of the boat, like a sardine. So we took off. Then the second day, the storm began, and the storm rages for 4 days and 4 nights until we got to the Philippines. Now, so do you have time? I can share the part with where I lost my family. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can get 5 more minutes in.
Okay. So after we put the last can of fuel into the engine, toss the empty can into the water, it quickly disappeared. It tells you how strong the wind was. But then at that moment, we looked at one another as if it's saying that, is it the end of our journey? Is it the price we pay for freedom? It's a terrifying thought. But then as we continued east, we had only one little campus. Heading east, and all of a sudden there's a big dark cloud ahead of us, thinking there was going to be another storm coming in. That's the end of our journey. But then we got closer. It turned out to be an island. It was a virgin island. Everybody screamed, thinking, well, believe it that we're going to be safer. Well, we got to the island. It turned out to be a virgin island. There was no anybody around. And at that moment, listen to this. The captain said, "There's no rope, no anchor." So,
I don't know how you made it to U.S., but I mean, like I said, every single scene, it was like, uh-oh, this is the end of it.
Right. So while I was trying to figure out how to hold this boat down, we were right next to the island, and I spot on my left a little tiny, there's a tiny dot moving our way. And it gets bigger. And it turned out to be a canoe-shaped boat with one person on it. When it was about 200 yards away, I jumped into the water and I swam toward it. And then I said, help, help. The man turned out to be a Filipino. So he helped me on board. And I told him that we're looking for an American base. And this is what he said. Tell your boat captain to follow me, but hurry, another storm is coming in. And I conveyed the message. I decided to stay with him on his boat. My family, my wife, everybody's on the big boat. So here, we are leaving the island. The center of typhoon hit us with violent wind and terror. This is terrible. Violent wind and strong rain, heavy rain. So we were immediately separated from the boat. So here I am on his little boat. My wife and everybody's on there. Can you imagine that?
I was heartbroken when I read to that chapter, and I was like, there's no way he can find his boat again after the storm, and somehow they got stranded, they got stuck into the sand somewhere.
Yeah.
But I have to say that your English saved you and saved all the people on board because you were able to speak English at that time.
Yeah, right. So when you get to the village, okay, now everybody's on a separate boat. I got to the village. The commander of the local navy came to see me along with the village chief, and he said, "Well, Mr. Lee, if anything happened, it's too late now. There's no way I can send anybody out.
Yeah.
People too dangerous." With that, I follow. He said, "I'm sorry." So I follow the village chief, Mr. Miguel, to his house. Now, at that moment, at that point, all I had was my shorts, wet short. That's it. Got to his house. He let me use his pajama. His wife and his two daughters fed me with dinner rolls with, I still remember, that's white sugar powder. And for 3 nights, 3 days, 3 nights, I just sit right next to the fireplace in the kitchen to warm my body and try to warm my heart. And you don't know how much I cry in those 3 days, because all I think is that with all the things that we've been through, we were together, and now they're gone. And in my mind, they were gone. They were done. So the fourth morning, the commander came over and said, "Mr. Lee, you have a brief window of a few hours before another storm rolls in. So why don't you, here's Sergeant Sabado, here's a map, his binoculars. Go find your family, sir. Good luck." With that, we got on this little tiny, what's called a patrol boat. We got to the area where we were separated. There's nothing on the beach, nobody, no sign of wreckage. And that's the beginning of my hope. But we continued to search 10 more islands, and there nobody was found. And that, yeah. So now at that time, sun was up high in the sky, and I said, well, all my hope evaporated. All my thinking, my terrifying thought was that they had no more fuel, and the wind was so strong that pushed them way
Out to the sea. Yeah.
the ocean. That's at the end of it. Poor my wife, and at that moment, very moment, the captain, Sergeant Salvador, said, "Well, Mr. Lee, something on the right." And I was so depressed, I didn't look up. But he's yelling because the wind was blowing too. "Mr. Lee, look! And he said, "There's a white flag." I looked up, that's sure. So he followed to the flag, and sure enough, all the people lined up the beach waiting for me. I jumped down, and I saw my wife and my kids. I jumped over there, and I grabbed
Oh
them.
God.
I cried.
It
Wow, that's amazing. How
it's a heart wrenching story.
But when I got to got to the ship, and the ship transferred us to the refugee camp. But when before anything happened is that they put a line from the patrol boat. Everyone who crosses the line was accounted for, and the head count was 105 people,
That's when you
including
know how many
right, including two newborn babies.
babies.
Wow.
Now
Oh,
now you two in the audience, you are women. You know when you're pregnant, you have big tummy. You know where to go. You know exactly what your due date is and why in the world you are on this boat.
Well,
You're not invited. You snuck in there
yeah.
just
I mean,
because of
at that time, just so our audience know that everyone is desperate to get out. It doesn't matter you have one leg, one big tummy, one arm. If you can crawl to the boat, you will get on the boat. And I know that October is typhoon season. That's why my dad always planned for the spring. We left in May and we have relatively calm, except we got pirates, but we didn't get any big windstorm. But October is the dangerous time. It's typhoon season. So yeah, so I'm so glad that you made it to the island, and then you continue to thrive as a leader in the refugee camp, and then get to U.S. So we're gonna have to have you back to tell us more stories
okay.
eventually.
We'll
But
tell you my story.
it is so captivating, and I want to say that human spirit, it's got a lot of resilience in there. We have to know how to tap into that power. And sometimes, you know, when you get to the end of the rope, you'll fight back. But sometimes you have to use your brain. And I have to say that, Julian, you have used your brilliant brain to lead not just yourself, but your family and 105 people, 103 people, 5 people, and out to the bondage, out of the bondage. So I really appreciate you being here to tell us the story. Now, if you don't understand the whole entire story, I urge you to go to Amazon and get that book. It's called The Spirit Steals the Storms. So the Spirit Steals the Storms. And you will hear about courageous story about this man here, this young man here.
Well, get the book and promise me not to cry.
I didn't cry. I was just like all completely green because of nervousness. But it's a lot of things that has helped me piece my story, because my dad was the one who run all the organization about the boats and everything. Now we didn't have to do a taxi thing. I have to say that we get a bigger organization. I think we greased them very well. We would just line up massive amount of people, and my dad would stand next to the communist guy, and he just call names, and people just get onto the boat. And we didn't have to swim out, we didn't have to taxi little boats out, but our boat was really big considering the standard at that time. Our boat was 28-meter length and 8-meter wide. So you do the math, about like 9 yard by, I don't know, 90 yard. I mean 30 yards, something like that. So it's a pretty big boat considering, you know, for the time. At that time, usually a lot of people go about between 100 and some people, but we were able to squeeze 502 people. We did have one casualty. The next day, a woman died, so they have to toss her overboard, and then we have a newborn baby on board. But other than that, I think, you know, our trip was relatively mild compared to yours.
Well, see, for you guys, it's an organized trip, and the government allowed it to happen, because remember 1979 there was the Chinese,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, we have Chinese documentation, and a lot of Vietnamese in our boat. They have fake documentation as Chinese, so
Chinese.
that's the only way they are allowed to buy their way out. So yeah, but I have heard about story about people. My brother-in-law is one who's
Mm,
like you,
mm,
uh, was a soldier in the older regime, and he got caught like almost half a dozen or 8 times in
mm,
jail, like solitary jail.
mm.
And then what did he do? He go out, he do it again. He go out, he do it again, 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 and again, until finally he became a citizen in Netherlands. So now he's in Netherlands. He's in Netherlands, working and happily retiring. So I um, I want to say that I tip my hat to all the brave men like you, and who are just so
Thank you.
good to know somebody instead of listening, know somebody of somebody. I actually know directly someone who's been through it and share with us your journey.
So one quick question,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
what year did you escape?
1979,
Sev-
October 12th, at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, you really,
Never forget, right?
Ever forget.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
So we are on about the same time frame. Sarah left about 1980, right?
1980, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it is fun to talk about, the past, but it wasn't fun at that time.
No,
Well,
no.
you look back, there's so much we can learn from it.
Right, right.
Great.
Um, well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm so honored to have you here. And hopefully, we'll continue the conversation again. And next time, you can tell our audience about how you rebuilt your life here in America. I mean, all the things that you've been through.
Okay.
Uh,
We'll save for next episode.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.